Welcome to You, Me, Empathy, a safe place for leading with your heart. Hey, thanks for being here. You, Me, Empathy is the official podcast of the Feely Human Collective, a collaborative mental health community designed to empower each of us to grow our capacity for empathy, vulnerability, and emotional wayfinding. Just a friendly reminder that this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. No one is just a silly boy with a feely heart. You can support the show by leaving a review in Apple Podcasts, following us on social media at Yumi Empathy and Feely Human, and joining the Feely Human Collective community at feelyhuman.co. And now your host, Known Wells.
Hello, Feely Humans. Welcome to another episode of You, Me, Empathy. My name is Known Wells, and this is episode 166 on grieving our past self and celebrating our present self with new buddy, author of the wonderful book Adventures in Opting Out, Cait Flanders. Cait is a joy, and I was so grateful for this conversation. We talk about exploring the part of ourselves in which we take the more difficult path because we feel like, hey, maybe we deserve it. We talk about honoring our inner child joys, anger as the most clarifying emotion, and a sexually traumatic experience that Cait had and led to dissociating as a survival tactic, grieving her past self, and celebrating the courage and resilience that she proved in her present self. So there is a trigger warning for this episode. Cait does vulnerably talk about a sexually traumatic experience in this episode. So there's that. It's a wonderful conversation. I really enjoyed it. Cait is a big-hearted, feely human like you are, listener. So I think you'll love it. You're going to love this conversation, and you're going to love the book. So check out the giveaway over on Instagram at YouMeEmpathy. Before we get to the episode, though, I wanted to just say a few things. One of which is I wanted to highlight something that's happening this Friday. Friday, February 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, the Building Bridges Breaking Bread Virtual Benefit Dinner. Building Bridges Breaking Bread Virtual Benefit Dinner. That's hard to say. Building Bridges Breaking Bread Virtual Benefit Dinner, put on by Rock Recovery Eating Disorder. They're a nonprofit, wonderful organization that I'm grateful to support and give back to. As some of you may know, I am someone who is recovered from anorexia myself. I have battled eating disorders, so I'm so grateful to see other organizations and people honoring people in their journeys and giving them the support that they need. I didn't have support necessarily. I didn't go into a treatment center for my anorexia, and I probably would have benefited by something like this. So Rock Recovery is doing a wonderful doing a wonderful event, hosting a wonderful event this coming Friday, February 26th, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll just say a little bit about the event. It's virtual, so anyone can join. You can look forward to an online silent auction with exciting virtual and in-person experiences, unique online dinner experience, time for connection, and incredible stories of people healing and found healing and recovery through Rock's many programs. Proceeds from the event go to support the incredible clients Rock serves in their programs. Learn more about Rock Recovery at rockrecoveryed.org. That's rockrecoveryed.org. And make sure to follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And the ticket link for the event that's Friday, the Building Bridges Breaking Bread Virtual Benefit Dinner, is at rockrecoveryed.org/buildingbridges2021. So that's rockrecoveryed.org/buildingbridges2021. I'll make sure to include that link in the show notes for this episode. And check it out. If you are someone who is in recovery yourself, I recommend this event. Yeah, and I recommend these people. It's wonderful people, Kristen Soto and Serena. Thank you for letting me know about this wonderful event that's happening. Again, Friday, February 26th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, a couple more things. If you want to support me and the work I do, you can at feelyhuman.co. Check it out. You can join the community, write for Feely Human, and take my workshop, join my monthly newsletter. If you want to support me on an ongoing basis financially, you can at patreon.com/feelyhuman. So $5 a month gives you an extra bonus episode of this podcast. And this month, actually, a couple of days from now, we're doing a Zoom with the group talking about vulnerability. So I'm opening the Zooms, which are usually for the $10 a month crowd and up. I'm opening that up to everyone. So if you're a supporter of Patreon already, you can go to this Zoom. It's on February 24th. But you can learn more about that at patreon.com/feelyhuman. And if you want to support me non-financially, you can do so by leaving a rating and review of the show in Apple Podcasts. It does help out the show, truly. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for listening. I think you're going to love this conversation I had with my new buddy, Cait Flanders. It's vulnerable. It's deep. It's rich with the tapestry of the human experience. And I really loved it. And I'm grateful for Cait. I'm grateful for you. Again, all the links that we mentioned in this episode will be in the show notes at feelyhuman.co. feelyhuman.co/episodes is where all the episodes of this podcast live. And I think that's it. I think that's all I'll say. Let's get to the episode with the wonderful Cait Flanders. I can't even say it. I can't speak today. I'm just gonna leave all my mess ups in because that's who I am. I'm human. I'm fallible. And lately I've been feeling a little dizzy and lightheaded. I think it's my allergies. Anyways, you don't want to hear that. You want to hear Cait on grieving our past self and celebrating our present self. Enjoy.
La la la, you, me, empathy, yeah, la la la.
Welcome to You, Me, Empathy, the official podcast of the Feely Human Collective. On this show, we explore the struggles, the triumphs, the brights and the darks we face as humans trying to get by on this wondrous and overwhelming pale blue dot. The intent of You, Me, Empathy is to talk openly, without judgment, about our mental health, our neuroses, our shared anxieties and worries, to create a dialogue that is vulnerable and deeply human and empathetic, and to share that dialogue with others to inspire emotional and cognitive collaboration and insight, so we can, hand in hand, break down the stigma that make us feel shame and guilt for struggling, for feeling our feelings, for being feely humans. You, Me, Empathy is a safe, friendly space designed to inspire the beauty in each of us. Today, I'm wayfinding in the backcountry. I'm calling Feelings Land because I'm here with fellow wayfinder, podcaster, and author of the new book, Adventures in Opting Out. It's Cait Flanders. Hello, Cait.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay today. I'm actually going to share a question with you I just thought of.
Please.
My friend Bianca Bass shared this with me, I think it was probably in the summer. And so now I will credit this to her forever, Bianca Bass.
Okay.
She now asks the question, how is the weather in your mind?
Oh,
and
interesting.
I just love that because it's not just how's the weather outside, right? Like, which is such a a normal thing that we've been asking this year, especially when there's not much else to talk about at times.
Right.
But
I really
how's the
love
weather in
that.
your yeah.
How's the weather in your mind? It really kind of not only it takes, because I think even like as you know very well, probably, you know, saying like I'm fine, I'm good, you know, these are sort of like placeholders for just not talking about things or not getting into context, you know. And how's the weather in your mind? I don't know. There's much more room for expansion there. There's a lot more richness, you know, in the feelings, richness in the feelings there. Because, you know, I'm imagining like, you know, little storms, you know, little clouds, some sun, you know, it's all in there.
Oh yeah, and even just that you said imagining, that's almost what it makes me do is like close my eyes and try and picture like, okay, how is the weather in my mind today? Like today I would say it's well actually very similar to just Pacific North weather, Northwest weather, but it is probably overcast but not raining. So it's
Okay.
a little bit not dark, but a little darker today, but not raining or anything, so it'll be okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. I think I'm gonna Bianca Bass is the
Yeah.
credited. Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. I love that. Yeah, I'm trying to think. What is the weather in my mind? I think it's sunny. I think, you know, I'm feeling grateful today. I woke up feeling grateful. And I'll just say why. Like and so we start the show, Cait, with an emotional check-in, and I'll go first.
Okay.
I think you'll appreciate this, and I haven't shared it to anyone yet on this podcast or on social media or anything. I don't know. This was 6 days ago. I woke up and I felt like I needed to quit drinking alcohol.
Mm.
And I've been sober for the last, 5 days, 5+ days. And I've been I would say a heavy drinker since I was 13. And alcoholism runs in my family, and I think for a long, I'm like unpacking it right now. I'm actually daily journaling, which has felt good and felt honoring, and helps me sort of check in with my feelings every day about it. I'll just say that it has felt good so far. And it's allowed me to kind of create some space, between the act of drinking and the feelings around drinking.
Well, thank you for sharing with me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for what you will go through in those check-ins, like in checking in with yourself, especially daily. That's so important. I think that is. So, I mean, as you know now, I haven't drank in over 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not someone who ever went to AA or unfortunately, I say unfortunately because I sort of probably took a harder route with it than I did in that sense. Like I think I really isolated myself at times, just feeling like if I was home alone, like I wouldn't be tempted.
Yeah.
But now I'm so grateful and just glad that even just with sort of the like sober curious movement, like there's so many different ways that people can connect with other people who are thinking about not drinking. And what I will just say is like I never went through AA or anything like that, but I do still believe in one thing from AA, which is just the idea that it is one day at a time.
Right.
And that I would say that that's true, or I think about that just with anything that I'm sort of taking on or dealing with. It is, did you get through it today? How did it go today? Okay, that's like all you have to do. You don't have to think about tomorrow. You don't have to think about a year from now. Just focus on today. It's like the act of that is just keeps you very present with it.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. It is a good framework. Like I think that's a good framework for life is one day at a time, as it's become a cliche in ways, but it's very true. I wonder for you, like, I know you've been sober for 8 years, and hearing you say that, like, you kind of took this, maybe in retrospect, a more difficult path. The thing in me that popped up was like, oh, you do that, known, like you do a thing where, like, cause like there's a part of me, this underpinning of me that thinks I deserve pain is one of the limiting beliefs, and things that I've done in my journey, in my path, and external things, internal things have been on the side of, like, maybe punishing myself, or I need to do this alone because there's like more, there's more pain involved or whatever. Do you relate to that at all?
Oh yes, I'm nodding my head. I'm nodding my head. And some very clear examples come to mind. And like some I've written about publicly, and the reason I started writing, or the reason anyone has read anything I've written, is because for years I used to write about my personal finances. Right. And I documented getting out of debt from 2011 to 2013. And looking back on the way that I paid off my debt, I was so hard on myself. Like it basically was 2 years of punishing myself for getting myself in a situation where I was maxed out. And so I just didn't let myself, like, have or do anything really. And then it's not that surprising to me that once I was debt free, I went back to spending a lot of money. Now, I didn't go back into debt, but I just basically went back to spending on whatever. Like, but that was because of 2 years of, like, deprivation and no self-compassion. Like, I was not nice to myself for those 2 years. I did not say nice things to myself when I was paying off my debt. And then, with quitting drinking, which I actually did at the same time, I sort of started paying off my debt. And I think it was about 7 months later that I stopped drinking. And very similarly, and in a way, maybe they were partnered up in that sense of, well, I've got to pay off my debt, so, like, I'll just stay home anyways. But certainly, early, I'd say even the first year of sobriety, I really just didn't spend as much time with friends, unless friends were willing to either, like, come to the gym with me or go for a hike with me, because I was doing a lot more exercise in my early days of sobriety. Yeah. And unless people were kind of coming along for that, I just didn't see people really. And I think a thought was just like, well, then I won't be tempted, or it's the easiest way to save money or whatever. But I'm like, I also was depriving myself of social connection and maybe building upon or changing relationships, or finding new friends, like finding new people to connect with. It was, so yes, I'm nodding my head, and I have definitely taken the harder path many times.
I mean, I think it's I would argue that it's probably very human to do that, and I'm interested a little bit in, like, the why of it, why we do it, and because mental health stuff, like, I have major depressive disorder. Depression is in and of itself, as a mental illness, very isolating. And then you add on top of that, like, the limiting beliefs, these other forces that we can control that add to the isolation. When, to your point, like, there are communities, AA or friends, like, where, like, ultimately, I think, like, creating some independence for ourselves, like, figuring out our boundaries, figuring out, like, our resiliency, those are important values, but we also grow in connection with others, and we need each other. Like, we need community, right?
Yeah. And I certainly don't have a why yet, but I I can say that I've done a lot of therapy this past year specifically, and feel it's the first year I've sort of really tapped into inner child stuff and recognizing all kinds of things. Like, I actually have a really hard time accepting like love or kindness or kind words or generous acts. Like, I have a really hard time with those things.
Same.
And also then a really hard time with, it's gotten better, I will say, but asking for help. Because I've just sort of thought that like, well, I'm just going to have to deal with this. And there's a lot of that certainly that goes back to my childhood. And yeah, and that's a big topic.
I mean, inner child stuff, like I've been this past year, 2020, the year of our Lord, I started EMDR therapy for the first time. And I need to get back to it because it's a lot of that it's going back, it's like literally like sort of like in my mind's eye, like going back to traumatic events in my childhood and trying to reintegrate some of those traumatic memories, trying to giving myself as a child, thinking of myself as a little sensitive old baby boy, giving that person some kindness and joy and light, the stuff that I didn't feel at that time. It's such important work. That's amazing that you're going down that road.
I'm starting. I feel like I'm dipping my toes at times. Like, it's like I'll have 1 or 2 sessions where I do a lot, and then it's sort of, I have a month of lighter discussion. Like, I feel like I think something I did notice this year is that if I went really deep into something, it almost like, not paralyzed, that's like too strong of a word, but it was, it ended up sort of overtaking my mind in a way that like I couldn't really do other sort of more serious things. Like, I couldn't really work because my mind was so focused on all these things that I was learning and having flashbacks come up or just a lot. And so I'm like, okay, I don't have to do the work all day, every day, or every session or anything like that. But it feels good to be figuring that out, like the boundaries of that for me right now. And then it does also feel good to be doing some of the work and just understanding myself a bit better, but also, like you said, like literally thinking about you as a kid. And for me, I've just had a couple practices of like letting, like almost visualizing, like tucking her into bed and like leaving her at home when I need to go out and do like a big scary thing. I'm like, it's cool. You're home. You're
That's
safe.
Sweet.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
I also am now doing things like on weekends. I pretty much start both mornings, like Saturday and Sunday, watching some kind of kid movie or movies I loved when I was a kid, or all kinds of movies that I didn't probably get to watch as a kid for some reason or another.
Yeah.
And
yes, I love that.
Yeah. And so even just those things still feel like the work, but like in a really fun and like loving kind of way.
Yes. Like I for me, it would have been like, just put on Total Recall. All the sort of like 90s action sci-fi movies like that would not be allowed in my house. Like, give me all that stuff.
Yeah. And the other thing that I did was I've noticed that something happened clearly in my teens where I started to be sort of like ashamed of things that I liked. And so as I've gotten older, I like don't let myself like certain things because it doesn't feel like the grown up or mature thing to do. And so this is a really silly example, but back in September, I started asking myself what books younger Cait wants to read. Like, what would I want to read right now if I was 13 years old or 16 years old or 8 years old? And it has gone down. It started with like listening to Mariah Carey's audiobook because 13-year-old Cait loved her. Like, I don't listen to her now, but I loved her when I was 13. So listening to that, basically all I'm doing these days is reading kids' books. And I'm just like, there's so much joy in it. And I mean, the world right now also is sort of heavy enough.
Yeah.
And there are times for us to be serious, and there are times for us to like read serious things and be having serious discussions. And you also can add light. And like, these are little ways that I'm adding it right now.
I think that's beautiful. And I think it's more than just adding light. I think it is like integrating all of ourselves. Like, because, you know, I think there is a lot of like, I mean, certainly in my childhood where I felt isolated. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the scaffolding to feel myself. I didn't know who I was. And we get to that place maybe, you know, in our 20s or 30s, for me in my 30s, right? And then we have, I think there's maybe a hole in our hearts, or a deep yearning for satiating some of those childhood things, some of those experiences. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you're doing. It's not silly.
Thank you. Yeah, I think for me, I wasn't allowed to feel the things I felt. And then I also, at a pretty young age, was very quickly shifted from being a child to sort of being the third parent. And so my childhood definitely shifted when my brother and sister were born, because I was much older. I was 8.5 and 10.5 when they were born. And my dad was gone half the year for work. He used to sail with the Coast Guard. And yeah, I very much was put in like, you're a grown up now. Like my nickname from friends in high school was Responsible Caitlin. So if they would ask to hang out after school, I would, like, the words out of my mouth were literally, well, I have to go home and do X, Y, or Z for the kids, like for the kids.
Wow.
And I didn't even recognize like how big of a statement that was. And until honestly the past few years, I've been like, oh, like, that's wild. Like at 13, 14, I'm talking about the kids and I'm not one of them.
No wonder then, you know, you have this streak of like maybe punishing yourself or being hard on yourself, or perfectionism is like you were given all of this tremendous responsibility at a way too young of an age.
Yeah, and it's it like continues to carry into my adulthood in ways like I have much stronger boundaries around it now, but or I communicate it when I notice it. But yeah, it was from a very young age, and very much like, you have to do these things. They weren't options. Like, it was not presented to me as, can you do this? It was, here's what you have to do today.
What kinds of things?
I mean, do the laundry, cook dinner, do the dishes, help the kids with their homework.
Wow.
On Monday nights, so my mom used to work for municipal government, and so she did council meetings on Monday nights. And so if both her and my dad were gone, then I did everything, like put the kids to bed, everything. So and then, you know, I joke, but honestly, I think my parents made me get my driver's license when I was 16 so that I could drive the kids places, because that was then the thing of either picking them up or taking them to sports, whatever they had going on. And so, like, even reflecting back on that stuff, I'm like, I didn't have those things. And maybe that was like, maybe there were some choices in that on my part too, because I don't think that I had enough confidence to think that I was going to be good at anything back then. So I didn't join any kind of team sport or anything. But yeah, it was very much, I just think, yeah, my driver's license was for them, not for me.
I mean, that's a lot. That's really a lot. I mean, no wonder, you know, you're reflecting back and you know, giving yourself the stuff that you not robbed. Maybe robbed is not the right word, or not the word you use, but like that you didn't have. And I think that's so great.
Well, thank you. I'm going to keep doing it. So
good. Good.
Yeah. This morning I actually didn't watch a cartoon, but I watched, I think it's called Goodbye, Christopher Robin. And it's like the story of how A.A. Milnes wrote Winnie the Pooh. So yeah. was good.
Is that a live action or animation?
It is, yeah, it's like real people.
Yeah.
And then obviously adding some visuals, like some animation where needed, but yeah, it's all acted out. It's really neat.
That's great.
Yeah.
And what are some of the books that you've been reading, the kids' books you've been reading?
Okay, well, I have been reading everything from kids' picture books.
Love
So
those.
I've actually been on a kick. Fortunately, my library has all of them basically. Of the illustrator's name is Oliver Jeffers.
Oh, he's
And
amazing.
he's amazing, and the library has tons of his books. So I think I've read 5 or 6 so far, and I'm on like a wait list for many more.
Mm.
Gosh, what did I just read? I just read a book called The Great Hibernation,
Oh,
and it was just very imaginative. It almost felt like Snow White told in a very different way. But it's like a town that kind of from your imagination, I would assume is maybe in like Norway or something.
mm-hmm.
And it's a very small town, and without giving anything away, essentially all of the adults or anyone who's 13 and older falls asleep. And so all of the kids are in charge, and the town charter says that kids have to then take over their parents' jobs.
Oh,
Which is just funny that there's like I don't know, 8-year-old or 10-year-old town mayor, like kids running restaurants. And
I mean, you were a little town mayor, just in your own world.
Yeah, so it's that was a really good book. And then I actually just picked up Little Women because I realized I don't think I ever read that as a kid. Like I think I saw the movie, but I don't think I ever read the book.
Nice.
Yeah.
How does it feel like in your body, or just how does it feel when you're reading some of these picture books?
It feels like very freeing and exciting and imaginative. I think exciting because it feels imaginative.
Yeah.
Like I think that, especially because I've been in sort of the blogging and then nonfiction book world for 10 or so years now, it just feels like I've been in that space of not like fixing yourself or anything like that, but it's all in the self-help space.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've been reflecting on the fact that I'm so grateful for everything that I've done so far with all of that, but I'm tapping into something right now, which is like that sort of thinking tends to be very lateral or very literal even. Like it's just, here are the things, these are the things you do, and here's why.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I feel like I'm actually not that creative in terms of like coming up with ideas or stories. And it's been really neat noticing that as I'm reading these things, all of a sudden I will have almost like a character in mind for something I could write. And I'm like, what is happening here? Like, I'm like, there's like a rewiring or something in me that is like, you could actually write a story. You don't just have to write like factual things. You can actually come up with something. And all of that just feels very exciting because it doesn't feel like what I've been in, and also doesn't feel like what I was sort of like allowed to be in for a long time.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful. I am also a big fan of picture books. My wife and I have hundreds of them. We don't have kids.
Cool.
But we just love the medium. They're beautiful stories. I'm actually working on a picture book myself, writing one.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I will also say one of the other ones I really enjoyed is called How to Make Friends with a Ghost.
Oh, that's fun.
By Rebecca Green. She is an illustrator, but she also wrote this one.
Oh, cool.
And it is so good. And it's so good that I took a picture and sent it to a friend of mine who does have kids, because I also do not have kids. And she was like, oh yeah, this is like my kid's favorite book. I'm like, yes, I found like the good ones.
That's fun. Yeah. So I want to, would you care to talk about like your dip back into therapy this past year?
Yeah.
And, what sort of led to that?
Yeah, well, big topic. um, well, I'll preface this by saying that I have, like you and I have discussed, that I feel very comfortable having this conversation. But there will definitely be tears. I can already feel them.
Crying is okay.
So, oh yeah, that's also been like one of my lessons from 2020 is not only is crying is okay, but not apologizing for it, like not saying I'm sorry for it.
Yeah, because that implies it's a bad thing.
Totally. Yeah. So when really what I can say is happening in my body is like noticing that it's just it's vulnerable, and this will be vulnerable, but it feels like I also feel very ready to have this discussion or to start talking about it a bit more. So Adventures is my second book, I will say. I wrote a book called The Year of Less that came out in 2018, which somehow feels like a lifetime ago. Like I feel truly like a very different person since then.
We also just passed through, again, the aforementioned year of our Lord 2020, which was quite a doozy.
Quite a doozy. Yeah. Yeah. So that was my first book. And then I had this idea for Adventures and started working on the proposal actually towards the end of 2018. So, about a little less than a year after The Year of Less had come out. And in March of 2019, we sold it to a publisher, which feels, when I can also reflect this, like selling your book is often the most exciting part of the whole thing.
Oh, I bet.
And then you realize it's all work.
It's all work, but I mean, I don't have this experience, but I hope to someday. And it's like, let me interrupt again by saying like, your book, Adventures in Opting Out, is beautiful and wonderful. And I think I was surprised by, I don't normally read books like that necessarily. And I was surprised by how, not surprised, maybe that's not the right word, but it's a book about self-awareness at the end of the day. And I think we could all use a bit more of that. So it's a wonderful book.
Thank you. And truly, for like in selling a book, the thing that probably just feels good is someone saying like, yes, I like this idea. Like this is an interesting idea.
Validation.
Yeah. And so the idea for the book is really about honestly just changing paths in life and like looking at what actually happens when you do. And of course that happened like that I was changing paths again at the same time that we sold the book. So at the end of 2018, I actually gave up my apartment and sold kind of the rest of my belongings other than a few things, and decided that I wanted to travel full time, which is something I'm actually almost laughing that we've been talking about inner child stuff because I'm about to say this, but I'm like, I'd been wanting to travel since I was a kid, and it was something I'd always been told I couldn't do, and told that, it's like, it's a luxury, not a lifestyle. Travelers have to settle down eventually. You're wasting your money. There were a lot of different stories that I had been told. And so I didn't travel. I did the things that I was supposed to do of getting a job with the government and getting an apartment and buying all the furniture and all the things that you need to like be a grown-up who has a job and an apartment.
Yeah.
And I decided that I wanted to try traveling. And so I actually left Canada 5 days after we sold the book. And I spent most of, not all of, as you now know, but I spent most of 2019 in the UK, and specifically in Wales, which was amazing. Wales was a country that was on my list, but also not like near the top. Like it was like I knew I wanted to go there one day because that's where my adopted grandmother retired and passed away. And so I was very curious, like where she had come from or where she had been and what the country was like.
Did you make it down to Swansea by any chance?
I did.
So I
Yeah.
studied abroad at the University of Swansea in college.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
incredible. That is incredible. Yeah, actually, so Rachel, I mentioned her in the book. She's a friend who I sort of recreated something I call Adventure Tuesday, which is just taking the day off work and everything and going on some kind of outdoor adventure that day. And Rachel lives there, and her husband actually works at the university.
Oh, wow.
So that's a very small world.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways.
really neat. No,
Yeah.
so I spent the last 4 months of that year in Wales, specifically in Cardiff. And I came home a little bit early because when I was there and I was working and I was on deadline for the book, I actually had just going to say the words. I had something I can really only call like a sexually traumatic experience with someone I was dating. And it was also, I know this has happened in my past, but I think that I've sort of blocked some of them out. But it's a time where I can very vividly remember having an out-of-body experience. So I had quite obviously dissociated.
Yeah.
And I sort of remember watching what I did for the next 24 hours. And it's so interesting to like even look at those kinds of things and learn kind of what your response is to trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. And so I have very vivid memories of like what the next 24 hours looked like. And then, I even went out that day. I wish I could remember what it was, but I even went out the day after, and I went to the coffee shop that I worked at like 4 or 5 days a week. And I actually wrote like 1,500 words of adventures.
Wow.
And I cannot for the life of me remember. I'm sure maybe if I went through Google Docs, I could like figure out what they were, but I wrote something of this book the day after. And then I left and I picked up some groceries and I got home and I cooked dinner. I didn't even eat it. And all of a sudden, like, had that feeling of coming back into my body. And I cried for 7 hours. And I just really recognized that I was not okay. And, you know, I guess I had coped for those 24 hours. And then, yeah, it was very, very obvious that I was not okay. And it took me, I'm going to say probably 5 or 6 days to make the decision to come home, because I was really mad, honestly. I was really mad that my trip would be ended early because of that.
Understandably.
And then I also just, like, I was so clear on the fact that I was not okay, but I also was like, I remember saying this to a friend, like, I'm not interested in being a victim to this. I want to start getting treatment immediately. Like I need to get back into therapy immediately. I need to look at this. I need to deal with this. I do not want to just lay in bed and cry all day. Like I just cannot do that.
Yeah.
And so that I booked my flight, and I think altogether I was in Wales for another, like in total, I think about 10 days from the day it had happened until I flew home. And it was awful. I tried going out a couple of times, even just to like walk around, but I would have panic attacks and just go home. I think I spent a lot of money on getting essentially like food delivery, because I just could not, I could not go out. And I had a friend, I did, sort of get support in ways. I reached out to some friends, told some people what had happened. I had a friend from London come and stay with me for a couple of days, and that was really helpful. But then, then I got on a plane and came home. I also had told my agent and my editor what had happened, not in detail, but just said, like, this and something bad has happened, and like I need time, because the book was not done.
Yeah.
And they were incredible and like even just through this whole process, I could not imagine working with a different publisher. Like I'm so grateful that I got to work with those people for this exact experience because they were so supportive. And even like, you know, not even a pressure on a deadline. Like if you want to finish it, great. If you want and need time, like it's also fine. We can change the contract. And it was really, really helpful.
Yeah.
And supportive. But I came home and the hard part was, or this was an interesting lesson, was even when I was in Wales, I started reaching out to therapists in my hometown, and everyone said that they were too busy, even though I literally wrote in the email that I'd had a trauma. Everyone said that they were really busy. And what I've learned is that that's because at the end of the year, a lot of people use up their benefits. Oh. And so they just fill up the calendars of everyone from like obviously actual therapists to then physical therapists, massage therapists. Like everyone is very busy in December. And that does not mean to not reach out to people. It just, I think my lesson now is, or to share is like, keep trying. Like that's my first experience I've had where people have said, I can't right now. Like, right. Every other time I've reached out, it's like an immediate response. It's like people know almost that there's this like short window of time where people will accept help. And this was the first time. And so I just kept reaching out, like they'd recommend me to someone. So I'd contact that person. They couldn't. And they'd give me another name. I'd contact that person. They couldn't. And it just continued. And eventually I shared what happened with my friend Jess, and she asked her therapist for recommendations. And one of those names worked out, thankfully. And yeah, and so what's very interesting to reflect on, and this is even a piece we can get more into maybe, is I made the decision to because no therapist could see me still, even the one it did work with, she couldn't see me till the middle of January. And this was like I said, I flew home November 28th. And so I just said to myself, like, I have to compartmentalize this just for like 6 weeks. Like, it's not forever. I have to kind of, not fully, but partially put this in a box. And I'm going to keep writing. And it's wild to me that happened.
That you were able to do that.
Yeah. Like that I could go and sit every day for 4 to 6 to 8 hours and work on finishing the book in the state that I was in. Because at the same time, it's not like I was still dissociated, but December 2019 feels like such a blur because I feel like all I did was sort of focus on finishing the book. While at the same time, very much struggling with the fact that I almost hadn't told anyone why I was home. I told my dad and my sister who I was like living with, like coming home to. I told them that something had happened and that like physically I was okay, but that mentally I needed to be at home. And that's all I said to them. And how
did they take that?
They were very respectful, and so didn't ask questions. But and actually it was really nice when I came home. I haven't thought about this. When I came home, my sister had bought all of this stuff for like bubble baths for me, like just sort of like a care package of like bubble bath and Epsom salts and stuff like that. And it just felt like the nicest thing to come home to. It got a little hard in ways that my dad then occasionally would make comments like totally joking, but he would say things like, "Oh, you've changed." And it's because my sense of humor was just gone. Like I was coping and like eating okay and taking care of myself in that sense, but I
You're in survival mode.
Totally, total survival mode. And so he would say these little things like, "You've changed," and I would just think like, yeah, no kidding. Like I definitely have. And but I don't think I let myself feel a lot of it in December. But what was really interesting, and also not a surprise at all, is that literally I submitted the book, or the first draft of it, on January 1st
Wow.
of 2020. And like normally, or you might at the end of a big project have like a sense of relief or something. And I think my body was like, I've kept it together for you, and actually we're not okay. And I completely melted down. Like I just, I remember I cried for hours that night, and I feel almost like I spent the next week like mostly in bed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just very interesting what our bodies can do when we need them to, or when we ask them to.
Yeah.
And then at some point your body's like, okay, like we're not doing that anymore. Like we're going to deal with this now.
Yeah. I mean, I thank you for sharing all of that. I deeply sorry you had to go through that.
Thank you.
I think that what I hear you saying, I just wanted to commend you for, first of all, just like recognizing that, like, all right, I'm going to see a therapist. Like that's a huge step. I think that's like a huge self-honoring step in such in such a deep trauma. Like the other piece that like is particularly, I think profound to me is the fact that disassociation sometimes serves us, right? Like it can serve us. Like it has a negative connotation, but at a time like where you were at, where you had a deadline, where you were not ready, whatever it was, you know, you had to hold it together, right? You felt like you had to hold it together, and the dissociation, you know, the sort of compartmentalization was this survival tool that you needed at that time. And I think that's a hard thing to come to terms with, but I think it's an important thing to point out.
I agree. And it also, it obviously depends on the exact scenario, but there was a lot of self-protection in it, in what was going on. And just, especially even that first 24 hours, like right after it happened, I think one of the reasons it was and still is like hard to talk about is because I feel a lot of shame about the way that I acted in those 24 hours. And now like I'm more forgiving of myself, of like understanding why I said or did those things. And then again, also self-protective stuff, like that is survival stuff. Things that I am ashamed of. It was survival. Like it was, the fight or flight of like trying to keep the peace and trying to, just not let it be a big thing yet. But it was very much a self-protection. And
you're already like minimizing it to kind of like create some space from it initially.
Yeah. No, it's I don't know, it's just wild how our bodies handle this stuff. And then I started therapy. And I'm very grateful. You know, I think sometimes it can be, and I know that sometimes it can be very hard to find someone who feels like a good match.
Yep.
And there are even pieces with the therapist where I'm like, maybe she's only like a 90% match, but it's definitely worth it. Like it's a good enough one for now. That is still 90%. Whereas before I would have had nothing. And so it's just been a good experience. I remember at the end of our first session, first of all, she asked me, you know, how I felt sort of just about therapy. And I was like, well, I'm very shocked I didn't cry the whole time because my assumption was that I would.
Hmm.
And she explained some things about sort of tactics she was essentially using. Like she just shared it with me of like, well, there's things around trauma that like, you know, I would practice to not have you dipping fully right back into it. And even encouraging things like, you don't actually ever need to tell the story in detail of what happened, you know, like, and if it's helpful for you, you can, but it's so often the case that we can just dissociate all over again.
Yeah.
Just in the retelling. And so she just shared a lot about like kind of the tactics she was using rather than hiding it. She just said it. I'm like, oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
and then she asked me like how I felt at like 3 words for how I was feeling. And the first word I said was confident.
Mm.
And I was like, that's so strange. I said, I don't think it's confidence in like who I am. And I'm like, life is great. But I'm like, I'm very confident that I can do this work. Like I also, because I couldn't see the option of not doing it.
Right.
Which I know isn't always the case. Sometimes it's really hard to think about doing therapy. And I've had those experiences too of like, I don't know if I'm ready for any of this, but this was one where I was like, I'm so not okay that the only option is to start some kind of therapy. Like I cannot just be at home feeling this or just sitting in this.
Mm.
And it's been a very interesting journey of therapy for the past year of, like I said, of course, it all started with that exact experience, but there's been recognition of patterns. Obviously now I'm deep in like inner child stuff.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff has come up, but I think that, I don't know, like if I were to reflect just on this past year, just therapy, not the rest of what this year has been for all of us, it is like this continual act of somehow, whether it is therapy or it is just it's her gift, I don't know. I continue to feel more confident. And so it's still hard, obviously, to talk about what happened.
Yeah.
But I feel very confident sort of as a human, I guess, and that I can handle, not just handle in like a way of, you know, getting through it, but like that I can work through, like actively work through hard situations and get through them. And just continue to work through them. I don't know that there will ever be a day where you're just done with it.
No.
But that I can do this work. But yeah, I don't know, I think anyone who's been through hard things, which is, I mean, all of us, it's whether or not we sort of look at them. But one of the hardest things, I will actually just say, I can't say this for everyone, is one of the hardest things the past year is that I have both grieved like constantly. I find I'm grieving who I used to be. Because I know I've changed a lot. I see it in myself all the time. I see it in my relationships, and just how I think. Like I have changed a lot because of what happened.
Yeah.
And there's a grief in that because it was not my choosing.
Yeah.
But the thing that's hard to reconcile is I like myself better. Like I like myself in a way that I never have. And that is so strange.
Yeah.
That is so strange to hold the space for those two truths, because they do not feel like they belong in the same sentence. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't want that to be true. Like you like fight it. Like,
right.
How could that possibly be true? Like, I don't want that to be true. I don't want it to be that I'm sort of more content with who I am now. Like, because I don't know, it's like, you're not saying you're glad it happened, because I'm certainly not. yeah, I like myself better.
Wow.
Just at all, even honestly, like, I've certainly struggled with self-esteem and worthiness for most of my life, even to the point that actually, and you might find this interesting, I have a really tough relationship with my first book because I didn't like myself when I wrote it.
Yeah.
And so when people say nice things about it, it's hard to hold space for that because my relationship with the book is obviously much different than readers. And I did not like myself back then. And so I sometimes would look at that book and just be like, God, I wish that didn't exist. And that's not true, but I have a tough relationship with that one, whereas I don't have that with Adventures. And I feel very grateful for that. And it's been a different experience, especially launching a book during a pandemic. And so I don't know how many people will read it. And also it doesn't matter because I like that book. And I'm glad that it exists.
That's what matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying is very profound. I think we as humans are capable of holding many truths. And I think it's hard to even get to that place of holding those truths because we do tend toward thinking in maybe more binary terms and sort of opposites and, black and white or this and that or whatever. Right. And it's hard to hold that. And especially when it's trauma, right? I think of like in the context of like my traumatic experiences that I've had, and I've had a number of them. And it's taken work, like the work you're doing. It takes work. It takes effort. It takes curiosity. It takes listening. It takes anger. It takes upset. It takes, wanting to throw your fist into a wall. It takes grace. It takes all of it, and I think like that is the lesson I keep learning in my own journey is like, it takes kind of all of it to get through it and find the things that we need and let go of the things that don't serve us and all of that. But it takes, and this is another beautiful aspect of your book, it takes a willingness to look, right?
Yeah. And to keep looking.
Keep looking.
It's like to keep being curious and to keep digging in. It's I think that I don't know. I think I'm in a place with like the trauma itself, what happened in and of itself, where I don't really talk about it that often, but I'm past the I think biggest griefs, or like but then also the like anniversary of it came around and I didn't actually expect to be upset, and it took me up for like 3 days, and I was like, wow, that was interesting. Let's learn about those. But there was something I wanted to say, and like it's like on the tip of my tongue. I don't know how to explain it. It's like right there. I mean, the anger piece is so real. I think that is certainly a feeling I've not been allowed to have in my life. And a
lot of women probably have experienced that. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the most, I don't know, like therapists have that way of saying one-liners that just stick with you.
Sure. Yeah.
And one of the things that she said to me very early on, like probably our second or third session, was I was talking about how angry I was. And she said anger is her favorite emotion because it's the most clarifying. Like it shows you exactly what does and doesn't work for you. And I thought that was so interesting like to not look at anger like it's bad or something to just quickly get over. It's like, well, no, what exactly caused the anger? Like what are you mad at? Why does that thing make you angry, and how can you do it differently? Or like, what boundary do you need to set so that those things don't happen? Or what was wronged? What wronged you in that scenario? And that also this past year, part of me has also wondered if it's been pandemic related, but I certainly know it's part of what has happened to me and what I've been experiencing is my boundaries are so clear these days.
Nice.
Like the things that don't work for me, it's like I can immediately feel it and am able at least to express it with much more ease than I used to. So not always, and maybe not always with every person, because some people feel safer than others to share our boundaries with. But yeah, that has been a very interesting experience this past year, that boundaries seem very clear. What's working, what's not working for me, and why.
That's wonderful.
Anyways, I feel like I'm kind of rambling.
No, I love all of it. All of it. I mean, you're a rambler. You're a hiker. We ramble, right? That's what we do. It's rambling.
Very true. It's very true. Also, my therapist, I'm sure she's just trying to make me feel better, but she said, "You're not rambling, you're adding context." And I said, well, yes, I think that's what writers and storytellers do.
I call all of this wayfinding, emotional wayfinding.
I like that.
It's just, finding our way through the muck. And sometimes it's wayward. Sometimes it's, we're going down weird paths and, side roads and it's weird. And there's, oh, what's that monster there? Oh, that's weird. What is that? And I was going to say, like, the thing with anger in my experience is often like the first out the door. It's like leading the charge in the fight or whatever. Right. And it feels like it's leading the charge, and yet it's the least complex or the least it's very clear about what it is, right? And then from there it's like, okay, what's the second line telling me? What's the third line telling me?
That makes so much sense. Yeah, and that feels very true. And also because I think that for the most part, I don't feel anger anymore. So even just visually, that feels sort of true. But it also felt like an important one, because something else I learned about myself is that a pattern for me, based on basically my entire life, is to see the perspective of the other person before myself. And so to almost give people an out for why they do bad things.
Oh, yeah.
Of like, oh, well, they had a bad childhood. Or, oh, someone else really hurt them and they haven't dealt with it. So it makes sense. Like, okay, like technically on paper it makes sense. It's also still not okay that it was taken out on you. Right. And like, I think that was a piece of it that I've not let myself in the past ever have, is like my own experience. Like I'm always just very quick to see perspective. And then that minimizes my own experience though. So then I don't deal with it. I'm just like, well, that's just who they are. But that's,
I relate to that. There's like maybe some codependency or people pleasing in that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think that's another example of like how we can hold multiple truths, right? Like, yes, I've been coming to this into my own life in terms of my relationship with my father, who I don't have a relationship with. He was a very abusive person, very violent. But I'm coming to a place in my life. I'm turning 40 this year and been doing a lot of therapy and, throughout my life. And I'm coming to a place where I can tell myself and not him, just myself, because that's what I need now is say, on one hand, the things he did, not on one hand, one piece of truth is the things he did were not okay.
Yes.
The other piece of truth is, yes, he also had parents that, from what I could tell and what I've been heard, was very loveless. There wasn't a lot of love given in that childhood, in that home, and I can feel sad about that, and I can feel anger about that, and I can feel upset about that. But both of those things can exist.
Yeah, but we can see people for who they are and their human experience, and like take care of ourselves, because our experience matters too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you've been in therapy for this past year, which I find just so very self-honoring, and I wanted to just give you that, because it's hard to do therapy. It's hard. You pointed to the fact that it's hard to find a therapist that works, and taking that step is very self-honoring. So good. I'm glad. I'm very grateful that you're in therapy.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that I didn't actually do therapy for the first time until 2016, something like that. So I was, I'd been sober for a few years and somehow still had never talked to anyone about any of my experiences. And I truly believe it is like the money that has saved my life at times, like the money that I am happiest I've spent. And I say that because I'm also used to talking about personal finance and money a lot, but there are things that I have wasted a lot of money on in life, and that has never been one of, like, I will never ever think that it has been a waste of money.
This kind of goes back to what you were talking about, like grieving your previous self, before this traumatic experience, which I think that's a tremendous insight, and it's a hard truth to face. It's weird, right? It's difficult. And I was thinking about, and maybe this is helpful in context, but like I was thinking about how I think like I'm kind of rambling myself here now.
It's okay.
Look at us ramble together. I think about my relationship with my family, which is estranged in some ways, and I've been in a way on a little bit of a grieving journey of grieving that self, grieving the part of me that was sort of with them, like maybe close to them at times, but also recognizing that wasn't maybe who I was, right, fully. And it's a loss. Like there's a loss in, and you talk about this in your book. There's like, as you come into yourself, as you find the truths for your journey, people fall behind, and sometimes those people are the people we were born into, the families we were born into, and that's a hard reality, and it's okay to grieve that, and it's also okay to allow that to be the case.
Yeah, I think like that or this topic alone is the number one reason I wanted to write Adventures. It's like I could have just written like one chapter on that and been like, here's the book. Here's the biggest thing I wanted to say, which is like when you make a decision to do something different, or to change your life in some way, other things change too.
Yeah.
And it bothers me that that's never talked about in self-help. Like, I don't think I've ever read a self-help book or even, I don't know, a productivity book or something, like anything. Like some of them might seem trivial, but if you change something about the way that you're living, other things change. It is not just oh, now I just don't do this, or now I've just added this to my life. Like other things change then. The way you relate to people or the way you no longer relate to people, depending on what the change is, like the boundaries that you've had to set to even allow yourself to make that change,
Yeah.
that affects things. And I mean, I feel that with family too. I can also say there's like some estrangement in mine. And so like, I think just like, thank you for saying it's one of those things where I don't want anyone, like, I wish that wasn't people's experiences.
Yeah.
And I think that it's more common that we think, but it's not what's talked about.
Yeah.
So often it seems like people are talking about how good their family is and how much everybody loves each other. And it's just so happy and good all the time. And I'm like, I have some family like that. Like, and I also have some family that it's so not like that. And I don't share a lot of experiences that other people do when they talk about their families or their upbringings. And there's actually just sometimes like occasional grief in that, or I find that can be hard then around holidays when everyone seems to be so happy, and that does not feel like my experience sometimes.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. And you're not alone in it.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes, it can feel, whether it's from conversation or things you see on social media or like actual media, television, movies, like it can feel even more isolating to see how happy other people are, but like you're so not alone in those experiences. People just don't publicize it often. We just don't talk about it as much.
Yeah. I think what troubles me about it is how we present. Yeah, it's a presentation a lot of times. It's not. And even this word authenticity has been sort of co-opted for the self-help, world, right?
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of ways, which I detest. But it's about, I mean, ultimately, where I keep coming back, like in my mental health, is like, it's about the mess in the middle. It's about the gray. It's about fallibility. It's about the weird stuff that we face and we don't understand yet, and we're trying to understand. And that's the stuff that's real to me. That's the stuff that I get out the most is that stuff. It's not how we present. It's not the shiny images and what sells. It's truly about like stumbling over my words to try to discern a feeling.
Yeah, it also, I don't know why this image sort of came to mind, but it is what makes me feel very grateful for the friends that I've connected with who can sit with your feelings and not try and change them.
Yep.
Right. Which is messy middle stuff. It's like just being able to express like, here's a check-in. Today I'm not great and here's why. But I know I'm well resourced and I can deal with this. But yeah, maybe I'm not great today. And the friends who can just sit with that and say, okay, I'm glad you feel resourced. If you need anything, let me know. And that's it. Like, they don't have to do any more work or feel like they need to fix you. The people who can sit with you in the feelings or just let you have your feelings and not try and change it, I'm very grateful for those.
Yeah, it's very important. And to use that as an example, I think sitting with that feeling, sitting with those complicated feelings and not knowing what to do with them and opening up, like it allows for that connection, right? It allows for further curiosity, the further looking that we're talking about. But if we're not like going there emotionally, if we're not like allowing ourselves to go there and get into that mess and to sit with those weird stuff and because like if we're like setting the precedent in our lives externally that this is the presentation, like this is what we do, like it becomes the pattern. It becomes like that's the rut we set, you know, that's the pattern we set in our lives, and it becomes harder. So if like finding those pockets in the people and those safe spaces to really get weird, you know, like really get into the weirdness. That's where the true joy is found. Like that's where we truly find ourselves.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. It's like the places where you can have full expression.
Yeah.
And that it is messy. Like it is to be able to express yourself is messy.
It is.
I always say like there's a reason I'm a writer, not like a public speaker. Like because then I have time to like dig into what words are actually true.
Yes. Yes.
But no, like to be able to fully express yourself, someone to have very awkward, weird, emotional, rambly conversations. That is, and that it's safe. Like, because some people, it's not safe to do that with, or they don't give it in return, right? I think it's been very eye-opening for me this year. Has been, and pieces of it have been hard. Like, I don't want to say lost friends, but I've had some friendships that felt deep that have really shifted this past year because they couldn't be sort of, or like they couldn't meet me where I was. And that's okay. Okay for them too. It's been like, it's just been, this like extra layer also of like, oh my God, something changed my life. And now again, like more things are changing. Other friendships and relationships are changing as a result. But then it's like, that's where the deep gratitude for the people who can do it comes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feeling.
Yeah.
Well, and because those conversations, like you feel, even if you're messy and you're saying all the wrong things to get to the thing, you feel so seen and heard by the end of it.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know, my gosh. Yeah. And I just think like, if we could just do more of that for each other, like it's
where it's at.
Yeah. I don't know. I have really weird feelings about self-help these days. But so much of it is like, can we just say that like, what if you're not broken? Like, what if you're actually okay and a whole human being as you are? And how can we show up for others in a way that just lets them be themselves? Can we just do that?
Yeah.
Like those are like my two things. And I don't know, I'm like, I feel very sort of done with like I've said what I need to say in self-help, and I feel very sort of tapped out on it these days.
I hear that. I think what's difficult about the self-help world is it's trying to take these messy concepts and the thing that needs to be messy and it tries to put it into boxes. And maybe this stuff isn't meant for books, you know, maybe it is meant for podcasts or, in-person conversations, workshops, whatever, where we can really kind of, wayfind, right?
Yeah. I think that makes perfect sense. Like, I think that books can give us like starter info. But it does take dialogue. It takes real conversations to like get into it.
Maybe it's to use your book, Adventures in Opting Out, maybe, obviously your book is much different, but like maybe the secret is not the secret, not that book, but maybe the good stuff, the stuff that we're talking about, like maybe it's a book and then it's also like a companion to that book, which is like in-person workshops or retreats or whatever it may be, like to really kind of like further enrich the experience.
Yeah. Gosh, and I can't wait for the in-person stuff. It's going to be so amazing when we can all hang out again.
You have no idea. I mean, you have all the ideas, and I have lots of ideas.
Like, I'm pretty sure everyone I know is going to get like a 60-second to 20-minute long hug.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah, I went into this year, last year, actually, 2020. I was like working on Feely Human, which is like this little collaborative mental health organization that
Yeah.
I launched in May. And I launched it in a pandemic, and I was planning on doing more. Well, I did a couple early on, but in-person workshops, empathy workshops and feelings workshops. And they just didn't happen because, obviously pandemic, but hoping maybe for some of that this year.
Well, and I think, I don't know, the thing that gives me hope right now is the fact that we all still have ideas for things we want to do. Like, that gives me a lot of hope. Just, it's the creative piece. It's just,
our humanity is still showing.
Yeah, like there are ideas and there are things that we really want to do, and we may not be able to do them yet, but the fact that you can still think about them, that gives me hope.
Yeah, me too. So in addition to hugs, what are some of the things that you want to do?
Oh, I want to travel.
I mean, this was implied.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go?
There's a piece of me that really wants to go back to Wales, and I'm not certain that I would go back to Cardiff right now. But there's a lot of Wales I didn't get to see, and I really want to go up to northern Wales and like get into the mountains up there. I want to go back to Scotland. I want to go to Germany and Austria. Actually, I'm just about to hit 6 months on Duolingo. I've done German lessons every day for the past 6 months. And that also is just like that little piece of, okay, I can't travel right now, but I can still learn a little bit of German.
Yeah.
Like, I can still learn a little bit of another language.
There you go.
And like little bits of hope and prep, like for when we can do what we want to do.
Yes. It's just a pause.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's funny. I don't want kids. That doesn't feel like a thing that I want to do, but I really want to hug all my friends' kids. Like, I really miss that. I'm Auntie Cait to a lot of like kids, and I can't wait to spend like proper time with them again.
They're looking forward to that too.
Oh, it's just going to be great. Yeah. And you know what? I say I want to travel and get on a plane and stuff, but honestly, there's a piece of just really wanting to get on the road and like do a road trip. California is on my list to come back to because I did a big road trip for 2 months 5 years ago. And I went to 18 states in that time. But when I got to California, I think I was very done. Like, I was exhausted, and I basically just beelined it home. Like, I just decided I'm done. I can come back. I mean, I'm on the west coast of Canada, so it's fairly easy to come down when our borders reopen. And I can't wait to like actually properly do Washington, Oregon, and California. Yeah. What do you want to do?
Thanks for asking that. I mean, travel feels right. Like I love to backpack. Deep backcountry backpacking, like get lost kind of stuff. Like that's my jam. I was able to go last year in August where were we? We were in Trinity Lakes or Trinity Alps Wilderness. Saw maybe 2 other people for the 3 days we were out there, and it's wonderful. And I'm planning a little backpack outing to Joshua Tree next month.
Oh, good.
That feels good. I was going to ask you, have you, you're in British Columbia, right?
I am.
So I've driven from California to Alaska a couple times. Have you ever driven the Alaskan Highway?
Wow, no, but it's so on the bucket list.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I highly recommend it.
Wow, yeah, it's one of those things, and maybe it's a story, but it's also stuff we hear in the news. I think I have fear of doing it alone as a woman.
Yeah.
Just certain
Understandable.
certain
Yeah.
aspects of it. So definitely it feels like something I would love to do with a friend or a partner or something sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about, well, certainly British Columbia, the Yukon, Alaska. It's all like, it feels, it feels at times like picture booky.
Mm.
In that, like, there's a tremendous amount of like beauty up front, and then there's lots of mysteries beneath.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say I'm very grateful. So COVID actually only got bad here like in the fall. Like we had it, but I'm on Vancouver Island, and honestly, in this very weird way, we were sort of in a bit of a bubble
Mm.
where we didn't have that many active cases until the fall. And so everyone was still doing the things and wearing your masks and doing all the same things as everyone else was doing, but we weren't quite at the same like restriction level. And now, of course, we've been in sort of lockdown, stay in your neighborhood for months, but we weren't at first. And I feel very grateful just that being here, because I would not have spent 2020 at home. I would not have, like, I lived with my dad all year. That wasn't the plan.
Right. Right.
But I'm very grateful that I got to see more of the island and just see it in ways that, again, like you just don't because you live there and you take it for granted. But also there's so much I didn't see because that's also just wasn't part of my childhood.
Right.
And yeah, so I'm excited to keep like when we're allowed again to kind of move around a bit more, to keep seeing more of BC between now and whenever I do get on a plane one day. But
Lovely.
I can wait. I'll wait till it's safe and good. So
Well, I mean, there is a lot of, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot we take for granted in just our vicinity, in our direct surroundings, right? We pass by it every day or whatever, and we forget to look, or we forget to listen or smell, or whatever it may be. So there's a lot of wisdom in that, I think.
Yeah, I'll just say my new favorite practice these days is exploring all the tiny little trailheads that I always drive by.
Excellent.
It's my new, yeah, and it's some of them are literally like 100 feet, and then they just kind of get to a park or they just end.
You're like, well, I didn't need 4 liters of water, but here we are.
But it's been really neat to, even though it's so tiny, like just like have that feeling of, oh, I've never been here before. And it's so tiny, but like it does exist. Even just taking different routes to your usual destinations.
There you go.
Right? Like all that has been a practice for sure this year, but I'm totally obsessed with the like random trailheads.
Yeah.
They often just lead to muddy trails here right now, but that's okay.
Sure. Well, I'm looking forward to hiking on a trail with you someday, Cait. I think it'll happen.
I can't wait. I do too. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I'll drive down as soon as it's good and safe.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I've been hiking my whole life, so it's my fave.
I love that.
Well,
thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know I'm the guest, but I have to thank you for this conversation and just for being able to like hold space for this and to also just give me an outlet to share.
Always.
I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful. And the reason that I felt like it was possible to do this with you is because of the work that you are doing. So I'm just also very grateful for that. I'm glad that you had the ideas that you did to get this thing started.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. That means a lot. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the work that you're doing in your writing, and the therapy that you're doing, and the hard work you're doing in therapy, and sharing, just being vulnerable and being willing to share an experience that is, one of those weird, like, universe fucked up things that exist. And so thank you for sharing. It's weird and fucked up, and I'm grateful you're here and working through it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I certainly don't feel alone. And I think a big reason, a big thing of wanting to just name it is just to say that to others as well.
Yes.
Yeah, is that you're not alone in it. So,
and just naming the things is, it takes a lot of the stigma, it takes a lot of that power out of it. And gives us a direction to go. It gives us maybe a little bit more context and information, right?
Yeah, that could not be more true. Yeah.
Well, Cait, we always wrap up the show with a section we called Empathy Heroes. So people in our lives who we like to shout out as being empathetic, vulnerable, feely humans. I will go first to name my empathy hero this week to give you a moment to think about yours. My empathy heroes this week are two people, Anna Voss and Hillary McBride. Hillary has been a guest on the show. She's a writer, wonderful thinker. Anna Voss is someone I don't know, but she's a wonderful illustrator. And the two of them together collaborated to create what's called the Bloom deck. And it's a deck of cards, that you can use daily or whenever you want, where they're all little activities you can do or sayings you can say to yourself to help with emotional regulation. And they're beautiful, and they're very they just feel very like warm and heart leading. And I bought a deck a couple weeks ago, and it's great. It's wonderful, and I highly recommend it to people. It's just such a beautiful thing that they put out in the world. And listeners, if you're interested, you can buy it on Anna's Etsy account. It's Anna, A-N-N-A, Parade, Anna Parade on Etsy. Check it out. It's called the Bloom deck, and it's wonderful.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm so excited to check that out. You said Anna's an illustrator?
Yes.
I'm like completely obsessed with following illustrators these days.
She's at Anna Parade on Instagram, I think.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I would say, actually, the first thing that came to mind is, because we were talking about the friends who can sit with our feelings, is my friend Amanda Sandlin. She actually designed she illustrated the cover for Adventures.
Oh, cool.
And so I'm grateful for a lot of things, obviously, like even just the fact that we got to work together on the book, like stuff like that doesn't always happen in publishing. Actually, a weird insider thing to share is that most of the time, authors don't get any say in the cover. Yeah,
I've heard this.
So I'm even just very grateful that we got to do that.
That's amazing.
But I think our friendship really grew then as a result of getting to work together a bit more, because we've known each other for years, but she lives in the States, and so we don't see each other very often. And but she's probably the friend that I've talked to the most this past year. And she absolutely is one who can sit with feelings, ask questions, and check in rather than sort of giving advice or like unsolicited feedback. And we've also been just practicing it with each other of saying, like, we don't always get this right, or we're not always great listeners some days, or whatever, but we talk about it. And so there's been this beautiful sort of relationship building in the process, but very grateful for her.
That's so wonderful. What's her name?
Amanda Sandlin.
Amanda Sandlin. Amazing.
Yeah. She's on Instagram. I think on Instagram at Wild Woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. We need those people. We need those people. It warms my heart to think that you guys are practicing that skill together. That's wonderful.
Yeah, very grateful for it. So,
well, Cait, where can the Feely humans out there connect with you?
Good questions. I would say these days probably the only place I hang out is Instagram.
Yeah.
I used to blog. I used to have a newsletter I did all the time, and it just those don't feel like the things anymore. But Instagram still feels like the thing. So I'm there just at Cait Flanders, and Cait is spelled C-A-I-T, which I guess most people can see from here. But yeah, so that's probably the best place.
Lovely. And listeners, buy buy Cait's book, her new book. Buy your first book, even though Cait feels weird about it. Buy it too. Her new book is called Adventures in Opting Out, and buy it at your local bookshop. And a great resource I recommend is bookshop.org.
Yeah.
You can buy it through them, and it supports local bookshops. But Cait, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for sharing your story. Very grateful for you and your stories and your healing path.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Thank you. And to you listeners, as I always say, I'm here, you're here, we're here together on this wayward, overwhelming, awe-inspiring pale blue dot. We have each other. It's You, Me, Empathy.